Derek, we're doing the Businessman Special today, a matinee edition of the Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast. It is Celebration Day. It is arguably best motocross track of the season day. And guess what? There was really no surprising results, but there was some surprising racing this weekend. Episode 19. First of all, congratulations to you and the family. We will definitely talk about the Dade City victory this weekend, and we're going to talk about Millville, which is arguably, some would say, the best motocross track on the circuit. Yeah. Great weekend. How are you?
I'm well.
Yeah?
Feel good. Yeah. Good
Awesome.
Weekend.
Awesome.
Good weekend for everybody, I believe. So.
Yeah, yep. Great weekend. I am representing the Never Relax, which is a few months ago I had the opportunity to go to U Mortgage, and one of my buddies purchased this shirt for me, and it's Never Relax, which there are friends that I have that tell me I don't know how to relax. So I figured it was appropriate on a busy Monday to wear this shirt and represent the U Mortgage brand, because I have some friends that are in the mortgage industry, and obviously being in the real estate side, we deal with that. So, man, you have been running between vacations, bikes, camps, series. You guys have been going. Is it getting back to norm, or wait, hold on, we have another trip soon?
Yeah. It's stressful, but I think it's paying off.
Yeah.
Finally. But yeah, it's been exhausting. I finally think I caught up on some sleep, and we're getting back to normal. We actually have this coming weekend off, this whole week. Try to get some work done, do some stuff at the house because we're way behind. But yeah, life's getting back to normal for a week and a half, and then Pennsylvania, we come back to another race, and
Yeah,
it'll be exhausting again.
For those that don't know, Derek and his family, they are transplants from Pennsylvania, and they are going to celebrate their nuptials with the family and friends up in Pennsylvania that did not get to make the trip to Key West when they got married last year. So
yeah, it was a private wedding just for my wife and I. We've been together 10 years, but we finally decided to get married, and then we had a little reception down here for all the Florida people. But obviously, I think we have like over 200 RSVP'd for our one up there.
Wow.
We're shooting a big fireworks show, a pyro musical. It's going to be a really good time.
Cool.
But
It's deserved.
usually I dread the trip to PA because it's not my favorite place in the world. But I think this time it'll be stressful on top of all the stress we already got. But I think it'll be fun.
Well, and also, your beautiful bride, Brianna, deserves to have a reception of acknowledging that she stuck with you for over 10 years.
Yeah, that's an accomplishment.
So, but I just want to say also, I'm healing. I've been dealing with Dr. T.J. McKeon, chiropractic office in Lake Wales. No sponsorship. This is a free plug, but the dude has made me be able to walk and not have to do this all the time, and I've been dealing with that for over 2.5 months. So go back to see him today, and I'm pretty excited because at some point I'm going to get back on a motorcycle. Yep. But he won't release me for that yet, but he is letting me. I worked out 6 days last week, so that was cool to be able to actually do physical activity again and do a lot of it pain-free. So, old men, 51 years old, stuff starts hurting, but one of my buddies is over 70, had his hip replaced and was back on the bike, and it's just like, yeah, you got targets, man. You gotta,
you can do it.
Can't, yeah, it's like this isn't gonna hold you back. But enough on that. But congratulations to you guys. What do we want to dive in? Do we want to dive in amateur, or do we want to dive in Millville?
We got all of it on the line. So
I know.
It was all a pretty good weekend. So
it was.
We always hit the national first. We might as well.
Well, Millville, Minnesota, known as Spring Creek. Spring Creek actually runs beside the sand whoop section of this track. Videos, they have kids out swimming in the creek and cooling off, but it is by professional standards one of the best motocross tracks on the circuit. It's part sand, part clay. It's got over a 500 foot elevation climb and drop. Uh, it's got great jumps. It's got great racing, and it performed this weekend.
Yeah.
Yes, the lead, there was maybe not the best racing up front all the time, but the racing in the packs, whoo, man. And some of the moves these guys are making now, some of the techniques these pros are using. Joe Shimoda with the sliding of the back end, Jet jumping into berms, and I actually rewound multiple times. Like, Michelle, did you see that? And we rewind and let's watch this again.
Yeah.
It's not. These guys have pushing the envelope of what is possible.
And
on these
we
bikes.
talked last week about what's the new
Yeah.
riding style that's gonna pop up, but it's not that I think it's already popped up. We
Yeah.
just
We're
weren't
appreciating
paying attention to it as much, but
Mm-hmm.
you watch this more and more every week, and it's the jumping into turns and just the gnarly stuff that it's never been seen before
Some of it's ridiculous. They were doubling up the hill to land
into a turn.
into the turn on a flat, kind of off camber. It looks a bit. They don't talk about it, but it looks a little bit off camberish. They were hitting a kicker, doubling, and then turning, and then jumping down into the valley. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, I'll pass.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
It's crazy,
But it's amazing. I tell you, I want to touch on this because you're in this a little more on the motocross side than I am. I understand that Jet's winning. I want a camera on Jet when he finally gets the lead that he's comfortable with, because when they go to him at the end of these races, the technique and flow that this guy is having on a track, it's what we all dream of.
Yeah.
And I just want to watch that. Can we just watch him manipulate this track? Because he's doubling stuff, he's hitting this, he's bouncing off this, and it's like once he gets comfortable, he becomes even faster.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
Oh, but even from Moto 1 to Moto 2, when they said they were going to make some adjustments after Moto 1, and Moto 2, he just so flowy.
Yeah.
The bike, like it's like it floats on top of the track.
It's astonishing to watch, and it is amazing the difference in the 450 class, and then you watch the 250, and it's like watching the 250 class is the bull in the china cabinets, and the 450 class is the Nutcracker Ballet.
Yeah.
It's crazy watching the difference in the tactics that these guys are using.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love watching. Like there was a point a couple years ago that watching outdoors, it just wasn't that great. And now you watch it, like just watching the flow and the technique that these guys have. It's not even the racing anymore. It's the watching how these guys ride that just it pulls you in.
Well, I think one of the sections, like, it's kind of underrated. They go over the catapult, then they kind of hit that floater that they can either clear or before they bank to go down the first hill.
Yep.
These guys are like locking up, sliding sideways so that as soon as they hit the corner, they're straight to go down. And it's like, dude, that's... I understand they make it look so simple. Just go try. Just go
even
try.
my 8-year-old sat there, watched the race with me last night, and he's like, "Why does it look so easy?" I'm like, "Kid, that's how they ride.
Yeah.
Like, that's professional at this point."
Did you notice at the bottom of the hill as they were climbing, that berm had blown out so bad? Cianciarulo hit it one time where it was hooking. It went past the line. And so all these guys, they're good enough. They're in this berm, and then, we'll just cut 2 feet, and that way we can triple up the hill.
Yeah.
By the way, they're tripling up a hill. The bike's already wanting to stand up. They're double tripling. They're tripling and then tripling again. And then the bike's doing this the whole way up. Oh, and by the way, we're going to double at the top on a jump that's not a jump. Yeah. And it's just, wow. But I just think that track, it's beautiful. I would love to go there. I guess, according to the Martin family, during the winter, that is also part of the state snowmobile trail.
Snowcross.
Yeah.
I think they do snowcross there as well.
But it's also part of the state snowmobiling trail.
Yeah.
And you can go and see this track on a snowmobile, not ride it, but it's part of the trail. And it's like, well, yeah, it looks like a park. It looks like a state park.
Yeah.
But, what a weekend. And I know we haven't even talked about the racing because it doesn't matter. Like, the quality of riding was so good this weekend.
Yeah.
There were quite a few DNFs that I know on the fantasy side people were pitching a fit about. But the 250 side, we have a full boat of factory riders. The 450 side, we are seeing guys earn their stripes.
Yeah, 250 is racing though. Like,
oh yeah,
it's exciting every week, something different. That's motocross racing right there. The 450s, you kind of know how it's going to play out for the most part. But there was some that we got. Jason Anderson went down, and
yeah, that was a big crash.
Yeah, and after already being injured, I don't blame him for coming off at all. Yeah. You wonder how long he's going to stick it out. The way the injuries are going.
He's a very frugal man who I've heard has done well with his investments. So, how long does he need to do this? He just has a daughter.
Yeah.
And I know that in today's racing, we're racing with kids. But at some point, you're like, man, do I need this? I can live.
Yeah.
I can go to New Mexico. I can live inexpensively. And
yeah, we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah.
But it was all really good. 250s were really, really exciting.
Yeah.
They've been exciting, but even Hunter was just on a mad roll. He pulled his normal start and then just demolished. And that was, to me, I didn't think it was going to happen just because of how he's been feeling. You know, he's still hurt.
Yeah.
And you could tell he got hurt again, hurt his ribs again, and that was what, Moto 2.
Yeah.
He still, though, I mean, he went out and just dominated.
But I got a question. When he catches, because Cooper Webb is no slouch, and somehow
Justin
Cooper, sorry. Yeah, I know. My bad. There's too many Coopers. And
Yep.
Justin Cooper is no slouch. Shimoda is, I guess he's a Japanese sand rider. I mean, it's now 2 weeks in a row he's on a sand track and just rolling.
I wasn't sure Hunter was going to catch him.
No, but then he caught him and just kind of, not dropped him because you can't really drop him with that little time left, but caught him and passed him. What? And I really enjoyed Ricky's analysis of that part of the race and watching these guys, dude, hang it out. I mean, it's 30 minutes. Go out and do your favorite exercise as hard as you can for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, add 2 more minutes to that or 3 more minutes to that and see how you feel. We all have this, I can go for 30 minutes. As soon as you say, okay, now you got to go 5 more. Oh, no, I was good for this 30. I did 30. But, man, I just, the 2 guys he caught at the end are not slouches.
No.
And they're good at this stuff.
That shows the level of riding that he was putting on because that's probably the hardest we've seen him ride. We've seen him come through the pack all season, but that was like, he knew what was on the line.
Yeah.
And he wanted that plate back because that plate belongs on his bike. And it was phenomenal to watch.
We got to touch on it. Did Deegan just have an off weekend, or did the pressure of the red plate get to him?
Or did the riding from everybody else come in? Because there's many weeks that you're like, what's this guy doing? What? This week, it's like they were all on point. Mm-hmm. The hype of the track, everybody just feeling good. It's hard to tell. He did say, I did see one of his posts where he's like, I went out there, I got my ass kicked this weekend. And I don't want to say he got his ass kicked, but he didn't perform like he normally does.
Yeah.
But all those guys were on point.
Yeah,
and that's where you go right back to Hunter, is like the level that everybody was riding at, then for him to go through the pack like that, astonishing.
What happened in, we didn't really get to see a good, I know someone has a video of it, I saw it on social media, I didn't watch it, but someone has got a video of the crash, but obviously he lost his helmet, lost his visor, but it's an Alpine Stars helmet, so they pretty much fall off when the wind blows.
Yeah.
But he was holding his ribs. He barely hung on for Shimoda. Shimoda was coming for him. What do we see him recover for Washougal? Or do you just try to put in, hey, I'll go third, fourth, get this break?
I don't know, because I know the ribs, and it's not fun.
Yeah. You can't even laugh.
And the second you lay it over,
Yeah.
If they're broken, they're re-broken. But there's nothing you can do for them. So at that level, do you ride on them, or you take the risk of puncturing along too? So I don't know. I haven't. There's been no updates yet, but the way he was moving around afterwards, you could tell they hurt. But I don't think he was in enough pain to say that he's not going to race next week. So we'll see what happens.
And if he can go, any of these guys, I think that's also, these guys realized yesterday, dude, if we can push today and next weekend, we get
they
3
get a
weeks
break,
off.
and that's where I'm at with, like, he's not going to not race.
Yeah.
So if he can battle through it, tape him up real tight, good chest protector, I would imagine he's going to be okay. But if that pain sets in, he's not going to perform.
No.
You can't ride through rib pain.
And Washougal is not a smooth track.
No. Let me step back. You can ride through rib pain, but you can't ride through rib pain.
Not like he did this weekend.
No, you're not going to see that again. Like, had they had like a Moto 3, I don't think you would have seen him go out and do what he needed to do.
No, because that track is rough, and it's a lot of uphills, downhills, and just trying to hold on those downhills.
Yeah.
It was tough, but man, what a performance. Gutted it out. And he was smoking them. 9 seconds. 9 seconds. And then Justin Cooper was hysterical. He had no idea, like, I'm leading. Like, he looked back multiple times like, am I leading? Like, he didn't have a clue that it was him that was in first place.
Speaking of Justin Cooper, and he says he's going to be on 450 full time.
I did hear that. Was that an accidental slip up?
I don't know, but if that's the case, and we go
where's he going?
If he stays with Star, they're not. Say Cooper Webb goes there too. They're not going to have 3 full-time 450 riders.
No, because we know Ferrandis is out.
Yeah, he says over and over he has no ride for next year, so he's booted. But now where's Justin Cooper going? Because, like I said, I don't see them maintaining. They might.
Maybe Eli is really only going to come back for Supercross.
But the way Justin talked was Supercross full time. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot that's going to play out. At the end of the year. It felt like a little slip up, and poor Jason Thomas. I think he was like, wait, do we have news here? And it was like, all right, we're off to the next spot. And it was like, wait, let's dive into this. I feel like there might have been somewhere behind there that said, shut up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because I feel like he slipped up. He's like, yeah, I've had a chance. And he goes, I'll be doing this all full time next year. And I was like, I looked at Michelle, and Michelle looked at me, and we're like.
Then the conversation changed.
Yeah.
And, he couldn't keep his eyes off the race anyway, which neither can I. So we understand that. But I don't know if that had him distracted, watching the 450s. Yeah, I'm doing this full time next year. It's already in the works.
Yeah.
But for it to be in the works like that, you almost want to think that it's with Star, because how many? I don't know.
Well, I guess
logistics,
and it can't be with Club, because I've heard rumors that Club is looking at other manufacturers. Yeah. So I just don't see Yamaha.
We'll see how
Yamaha letting him go.
No, we'll see how it pans out. It'll be the end of the year is going to be interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot there. It's one of the first years that we've had a lot of moving pieces in a long time.
Yeah, it's a lot of these guys have been with the same ride for how long?
But we know Aaron Plessinger's staying with KTM. He's already signed. I guess his new teammate's going to be Chase.
Yeah, Barsha's on gas, which that's been set in stone.
I wish Barsha would let another guy come ride the 450 with him.
Yeah, he wants to be the star.
But they were talking, I don't know if I heard on a broadcast, I'm not sure. Someone mentioned, hey, I know that we're all talking about these riders that don't have places. Give us 2 years. We're going to have Beta, we're going to have Triumph, and still potentially Ducati. We're going to have some rides available if guys will just hang on.
Yeah. But most of these guys are going to have rides regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, of some sort. It might not be their top pick, but the guys that have rides always have rides. Yeah. Like, they're going to find a ride. It's like Ken Roxon was, when he talked on Bubba's World about, not having a ride and is the pressure getting to him. Like, why would the pressure get to you?
He's still one of the highest paid guys in the sport.
And then it wasn't a couple weeks later, and he has six brands breathing down his neck.
Yeah. And
so,
but congratulations. Speaking of congratulations to Aaron on the pass, and then the washout. Like, there was a lot of that this weekend. Sexton again tucking the damn front end, sliding out. Plessinger did the same thing. It was, I guess there was so much bite on these tires that they're just hitting the gas and doing loop-de-loops. But Plessinger did work so hard to catch Ferrandis.
Yeah.
So hard. And their battle this year has been fun. And after listening to Adam Ciancerella's podcast, he doesn't know how long the hand lasts or how he's going to feel when he shows up that day. But he goes as hard as he can that time. And, he's not riding badly.
No. Never does.
And with a hand that you don't know. And I will tell you, as someone that deals with numbing arm pain, and I am not good. I cannot imagine being at that level and having that pain.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to jump this triple. By the way, we're going to go 40 miles per hour down this hill and almost stop at the bottom. Good luck holding on.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I commend him on what he's doing. But we do have to talk about our local team because, dadgum, this guy is having a hell of a season.
HBI Racing.
By the way, Todd Bell, according to Jason, Todd Bell.
Yeah, but they performed well. I just talked to Matt this morning. Back to the 250, Hardy Munoz pulled a 23rd. They had a successful weekend all the way around. Scott Meshy put it into the race with a 32 finish, but Ty Masterpool, that kid is on fire. Like, he's the real deal.
Yeah.
But he finished 6th overall. It's awesome to watch him ride and what he's doing. And I absolutely love hearing HBI Racing on the broadcast.
That's cool. It's cool. Like, this is our local team.
Well, Matt's put so much into this, and the whole HBI team. It's phenomenal. We talk about this over and over and over what they do, but to see it happening it's unreal because we talk to these guys. Like, I see these guys out and about. I see them at the races. I don't see Hardy or Scott Meshy but I talk to Matt, the team owner, and it's just awesome to watch them perform the way that they are. And then the pull Ty Masterpool in, like, he's just on fire.
And by the way, forget Ty Masterpool at this point. Don't forget him. But they're feeding the privateers, the truck drivers every weekend at the races.
Yeah, and it looks like that's growing every week.
And they're taking care of other people. They also HBI with Matt and Darla. They run an amateur program that they also support. So this isn't just like, it's not a fly-by-night, these guys. They've been involved in racing for many years. This is people are starting to know who they are part.
Yeah, it's getting wide. They got riders all over the place all the time. It started on the amateur level. They've had successful riders. They brought home 2 seconds overall this weekend, one in the I4MX. The Ronnie Del Rusca, he pulled a second in the 65 class at the I4 series, and then Talon Stanley was actually with us at Dade City. I think he just jumped back on a bike after an injury, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure this is one of his first races back. In the 250B, he pulled a second too. So, they're a successful team that is bringing up successful riders. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, no, it's just cool, and it's just neat that it's a local. I mean, HBI is an accounting firm that has offices in multiple cities around Florida. Matt and his wife are local. They live in our area, and this team is local. And yes, they have Ty Masterpool, and they went out and saw his facility last week in Texas. What a beautiful facility!
Yeah, that's awesome.
Holy moly, that was pretty incredible. But they're working, and these relationships of, hey, he's in the manager's tower. They're working with the Masterpool family, who has a lot of connections. Masterpool is one of Matt Lieb's riders for Canvas. I listened to an interview with Matt Lieb the other day talking about these relationships build, and they're realizing, hey man, you're actually here, and that's how you build this. You start small and you keep small, and then you make an impression. And by the way, hey, thanks for feeding our truck driver. Thanks for feeding me. I appreciate it. And these relationships, whether or not Ty Masterpool stays or goes or whatever, they have now built this. Hey, this is HBI Racing, and we're here.
Yeah, and on top of everything that they do, having a race team, starting a pro race team at that, is extremely expensive. It's extremely stressful. On top of owning an accounting firm.
Yeah.
I mean, we are really, really hoping to have Matt on here at some point just to talk about the business of it, because everybody sees the racing, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes to make any of this happen. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And it's by far not cheap.
Oh, and he also runs a Bible study every Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget, they run a Christian motocross camp. This is I won't say a religious-based team, but there is a religious component to this that has allowed them to do what they do.
Yeah, like I said, he knows why he does what he does. Yeah.
His purpose isn't just business.
No, it's not by any means. I mean, business is always a part of all of this, but it's not for business. It's a story that hopefully Matt can tell.
I want to get him, and there will be no results talk on that podcast at all.
No, because I mean, and that's what we try to focus on is that exactly. Yeah. You know, a deep dive into these guys' lives, because that's what it's really about. There's nothing. Yeah, it's fun to talk the racing, but these are all lives. There's components that go into all this, and
it looks fascinating for us on the outside. We're like, oh, they flew to Texas. They did this. Dude, these guys, when they're home, they're working, and when they're traveling, they're working. Like, they don't get a break, and I'm guessing that Masterpool is doing well enough that he may get himself into the SMX part, which now extends their season even further. And then, okay, Hardy, where are we at with Hardy? Where are we at with Meshi? And these guys that they're building up, what are we doing with them for it doesn't stop. So, yeah, we see them going to all these races. And by the way, life happens. You know, they also have tragedy and triumph happening in their personal lives here.
Yeah.
And they're having to balance that. And, I'm going to go. I'd still like to ride because, by the way, he rides.
Yep.
And I'd like to ride. So do I go to this race, or do I need to be in the tower? Where do I need to be?
Well, what's mind-blowing is, you know, they do the church service for the I4MX series at like 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
And Matt pretty much makes it a point to be at all of them. So on top of riding on Saturday, they're flying back out, and he's hosting a church service Sunday morning for the local series.
Yeah.
Like, it's never ending. I commend him with everything that I have. I think that we're busy. Matt's busy.
And those are the lessons that I would love to sit down and say, like, okay, man, how can I structure my stuff so that I can do what you do? And sit down with someone that's doing it.
Yeah.
And no, it's impressive. We're not rah-rahing him up because we're in awe. We're in awe because you don't get local guys. Yes, we had James Stewart, different local guy.
Yeah.
We have Malcolm Stewart, different.
They're doing it a different aspect of it. Like, you hear the local pros, you know, James and Malcolm and Jack Chambers, but that's the racers. How about what builds the racers? You know, where the racers go, and this is a different aspect, the business of motocross that is local to us, and it's so fascinating.
By the way, I need to get an update on Jack Chambers and see how the healing's going and what his future plans are, because I don't think he's done. I think he did okay in the MXGPs, yes, but it's tough, man. Look at Tom Vial. Tom Vial is a 2-time world champion, and he hasn't come over here and rocked us at all. So imagine a local pro. Hey, by the way, we're going to put you to the MXGPs.
Doing the opposite.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's a completely different animal, and I'd love to know what he's got going. But we need to get into the local series. But first, before we do, takeaways, quick takeaways from Millville from you. What was your best and worst that you saw?
Awesome track. It's we knew it was going to be. Everything was fantastic about the track. It always is. The hype of it. It's like another Redbud. Not quite as Redbud-ish, but
Yeah.
it's a beautiful track. The track looked awesome. All the riders looked awesome. Jet Lawrence's gear was sweet. I love that gear. For some reason, something just spoke out to me about that. I wanted to mention that. And those boots, everything.
Yeah, the yellow, that
It
was
was
pretty
awesome.
cool.
All that the
Yellow gloves with
the
the
yellow
yeah.
accents. That gear was sweet. The bads. I mean, Chase Sexton did what Chase Sexton had previous interactions with.
Yeah.
Dumping his front end. Deegan loses his red plate. Give it back to Hunter. Poor performance for him. We don't know what it was, or great performance for the other riders.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, if they're all riding at that level all the time, that's kind of where Deegan sits compared to all of them. We don't know. That's nothing crazy stuck out to me. Just it was a really good weekend of racing.
My positives are the crowd at Millville. This is in Minnesota. Go look on your map. Pull up Spring Creek, Minnesota. It's not close to anything. Great crowd, great track. Martin family is doing an amazing job.
The amount of campers parked there
Holy
and cars
moly!
was unbelievable.
The hillside, coming to like the last turn area, that hillside, it was like 200 feet deep up the hill with people just watching.
Yeah.
And obviously, at a track like that, you've got to walk because you either don't see the sand whoops or you do. Like there is no watching from that area. You can see I call it that track breaks in two parts, but you could see that one part, but you ain't seeing the other part of the track. So the crowd, positive. Chase Sexton, first moto, coming through the pack and catching Jet, very positive. I'm so sorry that he is struggling with this front end stuff, but I also think the guy is really damn good.
He is, and on that note, like Ricky said, I think Chase is the faster guy.
I don't know that. I don't know.
I didn't agree with him because Jet still held him off. Chase was right there, which Chase is expected to be right there. Had he not went down, I still don't think the outcome.
I think Jet started pulling him again as soon as he got there. Jet's like, okay.
I think the later part of the race that we would have seen more out of Jet had Sexton still been there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that he can be beat unless there's an unforeseen circumstance that lets him be beat, because he's one of these riders that we don't see come around very often, and I don't think that's going to change.
No,
he is a dominant rider. I'll say it over and over again. Unless something happens, it's not gonna change.
And I'll say my last two positives are the 250 class. Man, through the top 20, it is fun racing. And on that same note, in the 450 class, I love seeing, again, we had the international Boutron Freddie Noren battle for a top 10. And these guys are not bad riders. They're finally getting an opportunity to get TV time, and they're putting on a show. And it's fun. It's fun. And they're riding you're getting to see a little European flair of how they ride versus the Americans. And by the way, Boutron is no young spring chicken.
No.
He's an older fellow, and he's running top 10. Freddie Noren is a Swedish rider who has made his home in America. And by the way, he's one of those guys that has traveled around in an RV to race professionally.
Yeah.
And he gets these pickup rides, and he does well. Every time he gets one, he does well. So my negatives are, I feel bad for the guys. That was a hell of a crash with the three riders that crashed. I know Anderson's the big name, and for some reason I'm going with Harlan, but it's not Harlan. It was someone else. But those three guys, that was a big, big swap. And but hey, we're moving on to Washougal. We go from these last two tracks that have been sand-based. We go to Washougal, which may be aesthetically one of the most beautiful tracks in the world.
Yeah.
But from everything I've heard, I've never touched foot on it. It is the hardest track to get traction on.
Yeah.
So Next weekend, you're going to see all out racing because these guys know I get 3 weeks off because Loretta Lynn's is coming up,
Yep.
and we got to take a break to finish the season. So we're gonna talk about that next week, and then we're gonna have to come up with stuff to talk about because we're gonna have 3 weeks of. I guess we'll talk about Loretta's.
Yeah, we got we'll figure that out as the time comes, but we also have some interviews to take place,
Yep.
and we'll dive deep into the business part of this and see where it goes. But
But now let's talk about the most important thing.
amateur racing in Florida was fantastic this weekend. Dade City was a nice day. It's hot, but we come out with an overall win.
What did you say? You came out with what?
An overall win
Oh my
in our
goodness.
PW class, and it was fantastic. We have worked our butts off to make this happen.
Smiley had a big smile on.
He did. We didn't tell him he won because there was some discrepancies in the scoring at Dade City this weekend. I do know they had some people that didn't show up to do their intended job. There was a lot of mix-ups this weekend, and some things happened, but because of that, I kept the win away from him until the time was right. When the time was right, boy, oh boy, that kid was on rails. He was smiling ear to ear. When he held this first place trophy, the entire night he wouldn't let it go. So it was fantastic.
Did he want to go to bed with it?
Yeah, he did. Like, he literally would not let go of it. We did a photo shoot at the end of the night with our good friends, Shutter and Soul Photography. I've talked about them before. Give them a plug too because she takes amazing pictures, like I said. So she did a little photo shoot on the track after everybody was done racing, kind of dark with the lights. When those pictures come up, I'll post them to the page and stuff. It'll be cool. But yeah, it was fantastic. He had a little rough go at the beginning. We did go down to Moto 1. He still fought back to second. With the discrepancies, we did come out with the Moto 2 win. He actually got second in the Moto 2, but because of what happened at the track, he got the win, which we had the overall regardless with that place. But yeah, it was awesome. We battled with a little girl named Layla Bryant. She's a little ripper. But they went back and forth, Moto 1 and Moto 2 on the PWs. It was awesome to watch. I love seeing girls out there, especially in that class. Like, that class is so... Everybody watches the big bikes, but the PWs is just where it's at. You know, everybody's screaming, everybody's raving. It's not real loud there, so you can hear everybody. I've heard Malcolm say 100 times that his favorite class to watch at Loretta's, and I think James says it too, is the PW class because it's so exciting. But yeah, I'm so proud of the kid for putting in his work. We made it happen. We'll see where it comes. We're gonna miss the next one because of our party, our reception, whatever you want to call it. So hopefully we can get back on rails in August and do it again.
Very good. How was the track this weekend? Because it's Florida, we get rain. Dade City is notorious, not badly, but I was told many years ago by Randy that I have to water the track like 4 times a year because of the rain, because we get so much rain.
Yeah, it was. This week was dry. It got really rutted up. They put a whip section in. It looked fun for the riders, but it was pretty rutted up. They have one big, like, it's almost like a dragon's back type of step up quad it's dangerous. It's eating guys alive. But other than that, it was dry, so it was hard. I know, like, our KTM class, our 54-6 class, that I think they were Moto 11, and that track was chewed up. I mean, a lot of these fast kids were just walking through ruts, and you know, we had a couple hard get-offs in that class. I know Bowen come around one of the turns and just took a full-face digger. That's what I was telling you about off camera here. He holding his legs, screaming, and proud again. He jumped back on that bike. He said he wanted to ride. I was going to pull him off the track because it was hard, but he got right back on, took off. You know, we had a couple friends, Declan Mead. He pulled a 1, 2, and 3 finish overall. He had a hard get off too. Hit his head real hard. He's in the 57-8 class, 50 open, and like mini e-bike. So he took a hard digger. There's quite a few hard wrecks
So I have a question as a parent who's never had a kid ride, and when the track gets like that, is there a way to practice? Because we're all drawn as racers, we're all drawn to the ruts. Whether we need to go in that rut or not, we're all drawn to the ruts.
Yeah.
Is there a way to teach these little kids, like, hey, start looking for the non-rutted part of the track?
It's hard because, like, I'll work with Bowen and we'll talk at the track. Like, I'll show him a couple sections, like, you need to hit this here. Or if you stay in the middle of the track, look, it's a lot smoother. Yeah, there's a rut there, but if you can get in that rut and just stay on the throttle, you're going to hold to that rut. And that's what we're working on right now. He's learning, and I'm sure a lot of these other moto dads are doing the exact same thing, you know.
Especially if you don't get to race in the first moto when the track is smooth. Learn to go someplace else.
It's hard. It's hard to teach that to a 5-year-old of all things. And we go back and forth all the time that these kids are 5 years old.
It's hard to teach to a 51-year-old. We see the rut and we're like, oh, I need to go there.
Like, I was talking, Ronnie Renner was there this weekend racing, and I sat down and talked with him for a while. And I told him, I'm like, I love Dade City when it's beat. Like, I like to ride that because there is lines to pick from. There's ruts you can hold. But for a 50 rider, it's not fun.
No.
And Brianna, my wife, wanted to pull him out of Moto 2 on the 50 just because it was so beat up and he was tired. But after he knew he won, that was before the 50 Moto 2, he wanted to ride. Like, that kid was jumping up and down. He was ready to rock. But it is hard to teach them that. And it kind of discourages them when they're going down all the time. But I want him in that to learn.
Yeah.
Because the more he rides it, and I'll pound in his head at the gate, like, hold a line and just throttle through it. Because if you're not throttling through it and that stuff, you're going down. And that's where he struggles right now is you'll hear him let off the gas and then he sucks the front end in. Or, I mean, they're 10-inch tires.
Yeah.
They
don't have travel.
A 12, easy, minimum 12-inch rut. So they're bottomed out when they're coming through these things. That's why you see these kids walking through them. And he's not big as it is, so for a little kid, it's hard to grasp the fact that you have to hold in the gas, you have to hold in this rut without actually doing it. So I like to shove him out there, even if you don't perform. Like, you're in this class to learn. So go out there, do what you got to do, look forward, and just throttle through it. And it's working. We're improving every week. I see a lot of other kids improving weekly. So the beat track to me is a good learning curve.
And it goes back to that thing that we talked about in one of our first episodes of racing more.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to need to understand. And if you watch the pro guys now, dude, they're not in. Yes, there's a line. But how many times do they pop out of that line to change? How many times do they come into that line late? They're creating during the race. Like, example, Mount Martin. They were all going to the top, going to the inside, hooking and come. By the end of the moto, they were all jumping, going to the very outside, and then jumping down into. And it's like that. If you don't have that skill set of looking for the alternative line, why not learn it at 5?
Yeah, you got to be able to create a story map, and that's what I'm trying to, like, the fundamentals right now of that kind of stuff. You'll see kids down on the track, and he'll go out around them or dip in between them, and he is getting to the point now that he's looking at different options. He's figuring out what's easier, and then he'll take that line. Or if I'm on the track or track side, I can, like, look forward, look right here, look at the next guy. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. But that's what we're working on, and hopefully, which there's no hopefully about it. Like, I know it's working. It's a time sensitive thing. It takes time.
Let me ask the hard question. He got a win. Congratulations. That's awesome. Do you care more about the win and championship or the rider skill set that he can gain? Let's say he finished 5th, but at the end of the season he's got a skill set, or is that more important? And I'm only asking because I have friends that's more important.
That doesn't matter to me at all. Like, I know obviously the trophies for a 5-year-old, that's all he talks about. But at the end of the day, it's what we're building towards. So the confidence that came with that thing is
Yeah.
what I care about. And with our little confrontation at the track and the discrepancies, there was a guy that, well, the guy of the rider that we had a discrepancy with. He's like, well, just give the kid a trophy. So I said, if that's what they want, give the kid a trophy.
Yeah.
But to us, it's the points. Yes, the first overall finish is extremely important. The first overall win. That for him to smile all night long and to tell everybody that he won, and he's still talking on the phone to everybody that he won. That's a massive confidence boost, and that's what we need to excel farther.
Yeah.
Because if you're running down, if you're getting fifth place and you're not winning, and he's just not feeling good, then you're not going to do good. We know the sport's a mental sport. It's physical, but most of this is mental, and that plays a huge part in it. And just being out there, knowing that he's getting gate time, seat time, is what matters to me. So we can look forward to next year of diving in deep. And
Well, plus the end of the year Dade City banquet is pretty good too.
yeah,
I mean, I've heard it's good rewards, good awards, good.
We're gonna be there.
Yeah.
And we've talked over and over again. We want that experience under the belt, and for a 5-year-old to see the accomplishments, and to know what, if you keep working at this, what that's going to bring. And he tells me every week that, when can I race Supercross? When can I race Supercross? Well, that's what we're working towards.
So does he? And I'm asking because, like I said, I'm not a dad of a motocross kid. You got a vacation coming up. You're off this weekend. Does he go ride somewhere to keep riding, or does he take a full week off? Does he get to ride before you leave? Like, how does that work? Because then you'll come back and you're right back in it again.
So he actually had not been on a bike. He rode a couple laps here at the house before this past race, but it was like 2 weeks off of a bike. And that always is one of those things that I don't know how he's going to do. But this week, it really, he needed a reset too. Like, he's been working his butt off constantly, and it comes back to they're 5 years old. These kids are between 5 and 8 on these 50s. That I know some other kids that are just working their living tails off, and sometimes they need to reset as well. So I think it did them really well. This next vacation coming up, I think we're going to have a Dade City Thursday practice before we leave. So 3 days from now, I think we'll go ahead and jump back on a bike and not let him forget. Try to work on a couple things before we leave, so that way it's in his mind. I really talked about trying to get a bike up there and hitting one of the tracks that I used to.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I used to stomp on.
Just a cool thing to do.
But then we run into the he doesn't have his gear, but he also doesn't have his bike, so I can't put him on a stock PW and expect performance. I mean, I don't expect anything, but there's times on his bike where it's going too slow. Like, I can't get any more speed out of it. And at 5 years old, he's already given me that feedback. I was going as fast as I could go, or I was beside this kid and his bike's faster than mine. And how you explain that to a kid is not easy, but that's where we go back to the drawing board, and these PWs are a nightmare. Everybody knows that in this world. They're a pain to deal with, but we'll see what happens. I can't imagine we're gonna have time to hit a track up there, but if I can find a bike and we can.
But if nothing else, you got to take them to one to show them, like, this is what Pennsylvania tracks look like.
Yeah.
And, like, just go. Like, when I went to Louisville a couple years ago with my wife, we went to the BMX track that I raced the Worlds on, and it's still there, and it's like, holy cow! Like, and it was muddy as could be. We walked and we ruined shoes, but we got pictures, and it was like, this is what you used to do. I'm like, yep, this is what I used to do, and it's just cool to go there and see it, and like, this is where your dad grew up. This is what I did.
And I haven't been to some of those tracks in 10 years. I mean,
why not go look at them?
Yeah. If we get time, we'll venture somewhere and see what we can do.
So a good weekend of racing. on the professional side, the amateur side. Congratulations to HBI Racing for all that they're doing in the racing community overall. This weekend was also a big weekend for an organization that's been near and dear to my heart. It was the Florida Trail Riders annual awards banquet in Orlando. It's the time for the families to swim, eat, hang out in nice hotel rooms, get their awards. It's a very long banquet, but it's also well done by the FTR, and that was this past weekend, and it was neat to see pictures and the awards. And I want to thank Scott Dawson with East Coast Screen Printing down in Okeechobee. They actually make all the awards every year. They raffle off T-shirts. They do some one-off awards, and he's a big part of the FTR. And it's just cool that there are people in this sport, whether it's Matt Bell in the professional side and amateur side, or Scott Dawson with the FTR, that he's a racer, but I have this business, and by the way, yeah, I'd like to make some money, but also this is what we do.
Yeah.
And they actually close down their entire shop and send all the workers up there to help with the FTR banquet during the FTR banquet. So that was this past weekend, and I went last year to receive my award, and it's really cool. Like, it's just everybody's, I won't say dressed up. They're supposed to be a little more dressy than some of them get away with, but we are talking about motocross racers, the blue collar crew, and you know what? That's cool. I love that it's a blue collar sport. So that was congratulations to all the guys that won FTR in your banquet, and rest up because your season starts in September, I believe. So you got a vacation. I don't know what those are. I take day trips. But,
vacation to me is just, I'm not a vacation person by any means. Like, as stressful as this life is, this is life to me. It's all I know. So when I'm in it, I'm in it. And I again, this weekend I worked on countless bikes, not even just my own. That's kind of what's calming to me. It's the total opposite of how it should be, but
yeah,
when you're in your element, then you're comfortable. And when I'm away, it's, well, I need to do this to the bike. And the more time I have to think, the worse it is. It's the more stress that it brings upon you. And I know there's a lot of other guys that I'm sure can relate in this world that it's nice to get a minute to breathe and to reset, but like, I don't reset. The reset button is now tripped, and I got overload. So yeah, hopefully, coming in to our future here, we got next week. I'm really hoping that we can take an in-depth talk with somebody who actually does this for a living. With
we know we're gonna have an episode next Monday with the two of us. We don't know if there'll be an extra, but we know there'll be an episode.
And it could be in a different environment.
Yeah. The following week you may be gone, so I may do a solo episode or find somebody to throw on with me.
Yeah, we will definitely be away. So
I may do one of my just solo episodes. I may find a racer that I can chit chat with and just shoot the breeze for 30 minutes, and then we'll talk about. You've got some other interviews you've been working on, Loretta Lynn's. We'll have stuff.
There's a lot coming.
We are determined. I don't know when we're gonna take a break, but it's not now. We're gonna keep going. We may see if we can go all the way through the whole SMX series before we take a break, and just because. I don't know. I don't even know how many people we have watching us, but I just have so much fun doing it, and it's gonna lead to other stuff for us. And yes, I believe that. I believe that you and I are at some point gonna be sweating our tails off, walking around with cameras at a race, talking with parents, business owners, sponsors, in a tent, seeing how they sell stuff. Like I think that's important. Like these trackside guys, dude. I've bought stuff from these trackside guys. It is not comfortable in those trailers.
No, but that's what keeps us running.
Yeah.
Like, without those guys, we don't have what we need. These bikes break every race.
Yeah.
Like, there's, without a doubt, you are going to need something at a race. If you don't, then either one, you're not going fast enough, or two, don't care.
And why are they there? Like, what made them decide? And the trackside food vendors, and I mean, I know a Spider, but dude, the dude Michelle and I were talking about that this past weekend, just randomly. The dude had a coal-fired stove for pizzas.
The pizzas, yeah.
And at one point, he didn't have a helper, and he was maxed out. And it was going to take him an hour to get our pizza because there were 5 or 6 pizzas in front of us that he was making. And I'm like, this guy's busting his tail, and he's losing money because he can't serve me.
Yeah.
It's okay that he can't. I wasn't mad. I mean, the dude was killing it. But these guys, there's a passion. There's yes, it's money. But there's not that much money that we both run small businesses. Sometimes the money isn't the money.
No.
Like you say no because it's just not worth it.
It's too much.
And for these trackside vendors, the trackside food vendors, the EMTs get paid to be there. Dude, most of those guys don't care and they think we're silly. But they're there and then all of a sudden they get lulled in and they want to work every time.
Yeah.
Yes, the money's good, but then they meet riders and they meet families and someone brings them a bottle of water. I noticed that when we went to the I-4MX race down at Lazy Springs. And they were bringing water to the paramedic. He came over to me and was like, dude, I think I'm going to go buy a bike. This is amazing. I'm watching these guys. How do they turn the bike sideways? I'm like, whip it? And he's like, is that what it's called? I'm like, he was enthralled.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's making, I don't know, $25, $35, $40 an hour to be there. But it was beyond the money at that point. He's standing outside. He could be sitting in his ambulance in the air conditioning, but he was standing outside by the track like, this is it. And that's the stuff we want to cover.
Yeah, this sport is so intriguing that even if you're not into it, somehow if you get involved, you're now part of it. Like it's, I've said 100 times, you still get the guys that are just, you can't make them happy no matter what. But for the most part, this sport is it's like such a close niche sport that everybody that comes and becomes involved. Like this weekend at DADE, there was 2 couples, or like 2 whole families from Costa Rica racing, and they barged their stuff up and they were racing at DADE City MX, and we sat and we talked to all of them for a little while, and you meet so many people, and the people that you meet like that most of the people in the sport are genuinely decent people. Yeah. It's so easy to meet new friends, and like I said, I work on so many bikes that half the time I don't know the people, but they don't know what they're doing. Let's get their kid out there, even if that takes time out of me. It's just, it draws you in no matter what you do. It's the life.
And that's the funny part of whether it's you at DADE City this weekend or the pros were at Millville.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. Everywhere.
It's the exact same thing. And whether it's motorcycles or cars, when I went to the SCCA races down in Sebring, I have no mechanical ability, and I adjusted a shock on a Trans Am race car. Because the guy's like, dude, I really need, the shocks are too stiff. I went on YouTube, I found the kind of shock he had. They took me through the adjustment process, and I adjusted the shock. And then I sent the guy onto the track to go into the first corner 135 miles per hour and was like, I don't even like working on my own bike. And I just sent a guy in a Trans Am around the corner, and it held. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, but that's what happens at these races is you get into it. Whether you're shooting a picture with your iPhone or you got a 35 millimeter with manual focus and you're shooting the scenes, you see the families interact and you see the kids, and that's what we're trying to bring to light.
Yeah, it's people don't see it. Like, we had some friends, they're my mom's friends who we've become friends with. They come to watch Bowen this week, and they were there last race, and it's not something that they've really ever seen, and they were just mind blown. And they sat and talked to my wife, my mom, and talking about me because somebody that we knew was on the line, and the slide come out of his carburetor on the line. The throttle just quit. And they held the line for their 2 minutes, and we're looking over, and you don't think of, you just dash over. I threw his carburetor back together. We got it working, and they had to drop the gate, but the kids still got to go out there, and that friend of ours is like, he doesn't ever sit down. Like, he never sits down. I'm like, that's where I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, if I can get another kid out there, I'm happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the stress level that it puts on me or the work involved. It's just part of the sport. It's most people that you're going to find in this sport are like that.
And that's one of the reasons I ask you the question about the trophy versus teaching the kid the skills, because that discipline, forget about the track. Let's say Bowen at 15 years old, he's going to see two situations and say, hey, I can go this way or I can go that way. And whether or not you believe it or not, that situation, he's learned that from the discipline that he learned of, if I follow this kid on this track, this is going to happen. If I go over here, you learn those situations. And yet there's smarmy people in everything.
Yeah.
There's smarmy people in the chess world, for God's sakes. But you learn who those bad people are. You associate with the good. You have a great family values time. We've talked about the camping. And that's why I ask you that question, is those lessons, if all it is about the winning, kid's going to lose a lot more than they're going to win.
And you're not going to be invested in it at all. And
Yeah.
like you were saying about like Millville, it's the same there. Well, just like it was the same for us. Like I told you, I sat down, talked with Ronnie Renner this weekend, and he doesn't have to talk to me.
Yeah.
He doesn't need me at any point in his
Did he
life.
have his El Camino?
No, he had his ambulance.
Oh, okay.
The Hot Wheels ambulance,
Yeah, yeah.
which is now under new sponsorship. And I stopped him like, dude, that thing is sweet. Like, they did a good job on it. But he took the time, and he's like, well, how'd your boy do? How'd the racing go? And we talked for a good half an hour. He doesn't need to talk to me. Like, he is professional. He's been through it all. Like, but he's in the motocross world. He takes the time to talk to. He's still human.
Yeah.
And you'll get riders and you'll get team owners and you'll get people that are better than you, mindset wise. But for the most part, even these pros, like, they're still human. They're going to sit and talk to you. When, we won the Halloween costume contest last year, I sat and talked to Justin Bogle for I don't know how long. And Ronnie remembered he was part of the judging on our space shuttle that we built. Like, and he remembered that. He's like, dude, that thing was so cool, but how are you going to one up it this year? I'm like, I don't know that I am. I don't know that I have enough time. But, like, for him to remember stuff like that,
Yeah.
it's a community. It's friendships, whether they're professionals or not. They're still human. We're all human, and we all genuinely care how the next person does or how everybody pans out. It's hard to explain unless you do it, and that's something that we strive to dive into, because there's so much more than just racing in all of this.
Yep, and that's what we hope to cover over the span of this podcast, and we're 19 episodes in. I think on episode 21, maybe we should have a beer because we'll be able to drink. 21 years old, we can drink, and so maybe we'll have a beer on episode 21. But I guess I'll be by myself. I can have as many beers as I want, because next week we'll be together for 20.
We'll figure it out.
But
I'll have one with you on FaceTime or something real quick.
But for Derac Schaefer, congratulations to Bowen on getting his first overall at the Dade City Motocross Series, and DBS Fabrication and Custom Service. Handyman Services, Custom Fabrication and Handyman Services. It's a tough one. And Michelle and Trey, Real Estate. I am Trey. That is Derac Schaefer. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.